Hello student, this is a video lecture for BSc Biotech student on topic radioimmune assay. A radioimmune assay is one of the tracer technique that is used for determination of antigen or antibody into a patient sample. A sample could be a patient blood serum or any other fluid taken. Okay, moving on to the definition of radioimmune assay. A radioimmune assay is an in vitro assay that measures the presence of an antigen with a very high sensitivity. Here, according to a definition, a radioimmune assay is an in vitro assay. In vitro basically refers to any test that is performed inside the laboratory is referred as an in vitro assay, that is used for the detection of an antigen with a very high sensitivity. That refers to if the concentration of an antigen in the sample is very low or in a very low amount, the radioimmune assay is capable of determining that low concentration of an antigen in the sample. History. Now moving on to the history of radioimmune assay, it was developed by Rosalind Yellow and Solomon Burson in year 1959 for the measurement of an insulin in the plasma. As we are aware about the insulin, which is a hormone that is used for determining the level of sugar in the blood. So it was the first time that a level of a hormone can be detected by such an in vitro assay, and the credit goes to Rosalind Yellow and Solomon Burson, for which they received a Nobel Prize in year 19. While talking about this technique, we should be aware of certain terms that are used in this tracer technique. Firstly, when we split this term radioimmune assay, we got three different terms. Firstly is the radio, that involve the use of certain types of a radioisotopes like as hydrogen 3, carbon 14, which is a beta emitter, and iodine 125, which is a gamma emitter. This is used for the detection. These emitters are used for detection of an antigen. Further, moving on to next is the immuno, that refers to an immune response that causes the body to generate antibodies. As we are aware that our body possesses a defense mechanism or a defense system called as immune system that is capable of detecting or recognizing any substance that enters inside our body as self or non-self antigen. If it found those substances as a non-self, it start producing response against it in terms of antibody generation. Here, assay refers to any test. Now we should be aware and do not get confused in between two terms that are very familiar, that is antigens and antibody. Firstly, antibodies is a protein that is produced by the body in response to an invading substances. As we have discussed above, that when our body recognizes any foreign substance inside our body, it starts generating a response against it in order to nullify it in the term of antibody, as almost all antibodies are made up from protein, while antigen are the substances that stimulate the immune system to produce antibodies. Now, antibodies are produced in response to antigen. These antigen are the foreign substances. It could be any virus cells, bacterial cells. Moving on to the principle of radioimmune assay, it involves the combination of three principles. Firstly is an immune reaction, second is a competitive binding or a competitive displacement reaction, and the third is the measurement of the radio emission. An immune reaction, as we are already aware that specific antigen will bind to a specific antibody, leading to the generation of a complex called as an antigen antibody complex, which takes place in this technique. Further, a competitive binding or a competitive displacement reaction involve a competition between the two similar type of an antigen. The only difference lies between the antigen is one is radio labeled while the another is free or unlabeled. As in this whole procedure, firstly we need to find out which antigen we want to detect. Then we prepare a antigen outside and tagged it with a radioisotope. Now we take a similar antibodies that are complementary to it and allow to bind or allow to interact with that antibody. Now we take a sample of a patient body in which we are suspecting that particular antigen to be exist. When we pour that sample into our this reaction kit, which consists of a radio labeled antigen and an antibody specific to it, The competition developed between the two antigen, that means a radio-labeled antigen and unlabeled antigen. The binding tendency of an antigen to an antibody depends upon to the concentration rate. That means the more the concentration of a antigen, type of an antigen, that means either a radio-labeled antigen or an unlabeled antigen, more would be its chances to bind to the antibody. Suppose the concentration of an unlabeled antigen in the sample is more, so there would be more chances of a replacement or a displacement of that particular labeled antigen from the site where they get attached to the antibodies and set free into the supernatant, while the unlabeled antigen go and bind to that antibody. Now the site of an antigen that binds to an antibody is referred to as epitope. Third is the measurement of a radio emission. After when the incubation is over and the competition was held, the supernatant is collected, which consists of a free or a displaced antigen. That supernatant is used in order to measure the radioactivity, as the radioactivity would be more if the concentration of a radio-labeled antigen in that supernatant would be more. This is how the principle of the radioimmunoassay works. Procedure for performing a RIA, as we have already discussed in our principle, that the antigen which we want to detect is firstly prepared outside. The preparation of an antigen is done by tagging it with a radioisotope such as iodine 125, carbon 14, etc. The radio-labeled antigen is then mixed with the antibody that is specific to it, and this led to the binding of an antigen to an antibody, leading to the generation of an antigen-antibody complex, which is a first principle of a RIA, that is an immune reaction. Now, a sample of a serum from a patient body containing an unknown quantity of a same antigen is added. Now, the patient serum in which we are suspecting that particular antigen is allowed to incubate with this reaction kit containing an already prepared antigen, that is a labeled antigen, and an antibody. This causes an unlabeled antigen from the serum to compete with the radio-labeled antigen for antibody binding site. Here the second principle of a RIA takes place, that is a competitive displacement reaction in which an unlabeled antigen will compete with the radio-labeled antigen. Now we should be aware that an unlabeled antigen is also called as a cold antigen, while the radio-labeled antigen is also called as an hot antigen. As the concentration of an cold antigen increases, more would be its tendency to bind to the antibodies. As we have already discussed in the principle, that the binding rate of an antigen to an antibody depends upon its concentration. As the concentration of the unlabeled antigen increases, present into the sample, or a cold antigen that is present in the sample increases, more would be the displacement of the radio-labeled antigen from the binding of an antibody, and it get displaced into the supernatant. Moving on to the next slide. And by displacing the radio-labeled variant and reduces the ratio of an antibody bound radio-labeled antigen to the free radio-labeled antigen. This means the exchange or the exchange of a antigen takes place. That means a radio-labeled antigen that was previously bound to the antibody is exchanged or replaced by the unlabeled antibody depending upon its concentration. Now the bound antigens are separated from the unbound ones. The radioactivity of the free antigen that is present into the supernatant is measured by the help of certain types of radioactivity measurement devices such as gamma counter, scintillation. The entire process of a RIA can be understood by the help of this diagram, in which a red spot determines the radio-labeled antigen, whereas the blue spots determine the unlabeled antigen. So in first we can see the formation of an antigen-antibody complex where the labeled antigen, radio-labeled antigen, is bound to an antibody. This led to the generation of an immune complex. Further, when we add an unlabeled antigen to the incubation chamber, the competition arises, or a competitive displacement reaction takes place between the unlabeled and the radio-labeled antigen, and the concentration rate decides the chances of a binding of an antigen to the antibody. As the concentration of an unlabeled antigen increases, the more would be the displacement of the radiolabeled antigen into the supernatant. Now the chamber is washed after incubation is over. The supernatant is collected and the supernatant is subjected to the measurement of the radioactivity. Now if the concentration of the radiolabeled isotopes in the supernatant would be more, that means more amount of a radiolabeled isotopes is displaced from the binding sites, and more would be the presence of a unlabeled antigen into the sample. This determines the whole process of the radioactivity. Moving on to the uses of a RIA, the test can be used to determine very small quantity of an antigen or an antibody into the serum. As we are already aware that this test is highly sensitive, it can be used to determine a very low concentration of an antigens or an antibody into the sample, even in terms of nanogram, which is about 0.001 mg. The test is used for quantitation of the hormone and other viral antigen. This test can be used for the detection of a hormone or any other viral antigen present inside our body. Early cancer detection, by the help of this test we can detect the cancer, we can detect the drugs, that means a narcotic detection by the help of this assay. Moving on to the next about the limitation of the RIA. The cost of an equipment and the reagents are quite high. Short shelf life of the radiolabeled compound, that means the radioisotopes which we use in this technique involves the half-life period which could be short for some of the radioisotopes. The problem associated with the disposal of the radioactive waste, as we are aware that radioactive waste are highly hazardous, so certain problems are associated with its disposal. Thank you. This